Waking nightmares. In this town where everyone knew everyone, a group of teenagers were always looking for adventure. Among them was the cocky and hot-tempered Tommy, whom no one dared to provoke. One day, when they decided to play hide-and-seek in an old park, they accidentally angered Tommy. His rage was so independent that his friends from the original origin ran away, escaping from his wrath. They found refuge in the city, where they encountered a stranger named Ramon. Ramon was mysterious and calm, and his dark gaze made even the bravest tremble. He suggested that the guys hide in an old abandoned mansion, which was rumored to be cursed. The mansion stood on the edge of the forest. Its walls were covered in mold, the windows were broken. When the group entered, the air was filled with a musty smell of antiquity. The floorboards creaked under their feet, the shadows on the walls seemed to move. Tommy, who had caught up with them by then, burst into the mansion, but, seeing its eerie atmosphere, froze. Suddenly there was a dull thud, and the door slammed behind them with a deafening crash. The light flickered, and an ominous whisper rolled through the halls. Ramon calmly stepped forward and said, "Legend has it that the souls of those who died here are looking for new victims." The boys felt a cold wind blowing on their backs. Tommy tried to open the door, but it did not budge. Shadows emerged from the darkness, seeming to reach out to them. One of the friends screamed, and the group rushed to find a way out. Ramon walked ahead, confidently leading them through the maze of corridors. But suddenly he stopped, turned to them and said with a smile, "Now you are part of this house." His eyes lit up with an ominous light, and he disappeared into the darkness. Since then, none of the teenagers have returned home, and the townspeople still hear their screams coming from the old abandoned mansion. The house belonged to the Bellows family, all of whose members mysteriously disappeared almost 100 years ago, and there are still creepy legends about the daughter of the family, Sarah. Supposedly she can kill by telling stories. Friends find a secret room, and Stella takes home the book where Sarah wrote her stories, and on the pages of which a new one will appear that very evening, and the bully Tommy will disappear without a trace. The next day, Stella, unable to resist the temptation, began to read Sarah's stories. The pages of the book were covered in bloody letters, and the stories came to life with a frightening reality. When Stella saw Tommy's name appear on one of the pages, she tried to burn the book, but the flame did not take the ancient parchment. Brian, realizing that the book was connected to Sarah's spirit, offered to find her remains and free her soul. The friends went to an abandoned cemetery behind the mansion. There, under an old oak tree, they found an old grave with the letters Sarah Bellows carved into it. Digging the earth, they found an old locket with a portrait of Sarah. The moment Stella held the locket in her hands, the earth trembled, and a cold fog burst out of the grave. Sarah's ghostly silhouette appeared before them, her eyes burning with hatred. "You can't stop me," she whispered. And the book tore from Stella's hands. The pages began to turn by themselves, creating a new story. A story about each of them. One by one, the friends began to disappear into the fog. Stella screamed at the last moment, "Sarah, we want you to be heard. Tell your truth." The ghost froze. A shadow of pain appeared on her face. "I was accused of something I did not do," she whispered. Light illuminated the grave, and the darkness began to dissipate. Brian quickly burned the locket, and with a scream, Sarah disappeared, and the book burst into flames. Tommy, although he did not appear, but the disappearances stopped. However, a cold whisper hung in the air for a long time, reminding of the ancient curse. I was accused of something I did not do. What was she accused of? We must solve the mystery.